My name is Rini, and I'm here with,
Tracy.
and we are from the Lincoln County Humane Society. We're going to go over some info about who we are, what we do, and myths, and just kind of everything that we know. We're going to try and
Just give
let
you
you know.
some education about what we do at the shelter and everything that we've got going on there. So in 1985, the Humane Society was formed basically to change what was going on in our community. There was a lot of inhumane treatment of animals, definitely some things that a lot of people were very concerned about, and they kind of took it upon to create an environment where we could treat animals humanely, get them taken care of, and adopted out to new homes.
Yeah, our citizens were so passionate about that they created us, and now we try and do our
Continue on their
best.
mission. Yeah.
Exactly. We offer a ton of different services that we will be going over in the next slides.
Yes. So animal control. There are many different levels to animal control. A lot of people think it's just going out and picking up a dog and
We
bringing
want to
it back.
steal them. We want to steal their dogs.
Yeah, no, we're not stealing your dogs.
We don't. We don't want your dogs.
Yeah.
I promise.
So just the reason why we are called is there's different levels of taking care of animals and keeping your animals and keeping them safe and healthy. And so, I mean, we have hoarding cases, we have neglect cases, we have abandonment cases where strays or people are dumping their animals.
Yeah.
That's every day.
You see all sorts of, the worst cases for especially people at the shelter. We love animals, and then we see these poor guys in the worst cases.
Yeah. So those are just some of the many reasons why we will pick up an animal.
We work really hard with the animals that come to us. They can be from one of those cases we just talked about, or it could just be like a cute kitten. It could be any animal, but we don't know their medical history. They might have been fixed already. They might not be. They might have parasites. They might be on death's door. But regardless of where they start, we want to make sure when they go home, they've got everything that they could need that we can provide for them. Right. Regardless of the cost to us, we will try to make sure that their adoption is still pretty reasonable, and we even if we lose money on it, our goal is to leave them much better than we found them and in a better home.
We want their lives to be good when they go to their new forever home.
Yeah, send them out totally set.
So our adoption program, we have a bunch of different ways that we like to rehome our animals, okay? So we have available pets online, which is on our petfinder.com. You can search for a dog or a cat. We list basically all their information. Our adoption fees are on there.
We try and make cute little, it takes forever to think of something besides cuddly for a cat or a dog.
Well, and we try and list their characteristics, things that we noticed with them here in our shelter, or maybe if it was an owner surrender, their previous owner let us know.
So that they can be the best match for their new family.
Right. We also have off-site adoption events where we'll take animals to current things in our community,
like
and so people can see them and meet them and see how silly they are and lovable they are, and just really get to see our animals.
It's really hard
outside of shelter life, right?
Yeah, we also work with rescues and transports and any other shelter that maybe has a certain type of animal that they take more often. Right. So if they always take beagles, then they know the people who want to adopt beagles, so we can send our beagles with them, and they get adopted through there really quickly.
We know they're going to have a good life.
Yeah.
We also have discount days. We work with the corporation Bissell, which I'm sure many people have heard of the Bissells. They're a foundation, Bissell Vacuums. They're a foundation that supports humane societies throughout the nation, and they work with us for Empty the Shelter, which is a wonderful kickback program to us. They discount our adoption fees. Well, we discount the adoption fees, and then they give us money back for each adoption.
Yeah, so we said before, we spend a ton on them getting them healthy, so we can't afford to send them off for the fees that we would like them. So Bissell covers that for us and lets us get them into homes for much less.
Yes.
So the human-animal bond, we know that we save the animals. That's why we're here, because we love animals. But we think that we really improve human life too. So there are a ton of health benefits, whether it's mental. Sorry, there was a technical difficulty.
In our recording there. Sorry.
So, little jarring, but making sure you're paying attention. So, we were talking about the human animal bond and how providing animals for people does a lot of good for the community and for the people themselves. We think that it improves our lives and the lives of our adopters and our volunteers as well. Oh no. There we go.
Okay, lost and found. Yes, that's pretty much what it is. We have lost animals, we have found animals. So a few different ways that we help with this is in our shelter, we have microchips. We put microchips in all of our babies before they go home. It helps trace the animal to their owner.
It's not a GPS. A lot of people think it is, but basically, it's an ID tag they can never lose. And I cannot tell you how many animals we have found their owners by their microchip.
Yes, very wonderful thing we have at our shelter. Courtesy posting, that's just basically taking the pictures of the animals, posting them on our Facebook. Social media has been wonderful for us, helping us find lost animals to their owners, or
an adopter. One time we posted a cute picture of our dogs, and ta-da, the owner saw it and was like, "Wait a minute!" And it had been like a year. The dog.
Yeah, my dog's been missing forever, and there he is. So that was a wonderful, wonderful reunion. And then fostering. Fostering is another, program we have at our shelter. You can be willing to foster the animal. We'll take care of all the medical work. And then sometimes they turn into adoptions.
Yeah, they turn into adoptions. The way that factors in with lost and found is if you found an animal, you might not be able to keep it forever, but if you can hold on to it, we can normally get it in later. Or if you can hold on to it, we can either get it adopted without ever having to be in the shelter, or find its owner. And that just helps out a huge amount.
One important thing I also want to say is when we take a pet in that has a collar that seems to be lost, we will hold them for 5 days and do all the above things, attempting to try to find their owner. We don't just immediately put them up for adoption thinking that, got to get them out. We'll try and find their owner because they're probably missing their owners too.
Yeah. We have several programs where we want to assist people if they are having issues finding resources for their pets. We can point you in the direction. Whether or not we have the funds to help in any situation doesn't mean that we won't be able to help some way. So we've got a ton of resources and a ton of information. So if you come to us and you want to keep your pet, if you love them but you are struggling, let us know. Our goal is to make sure that if you love your pet, you're able to try and keep them.
We often say at the shelter, we don't want to take your pet from you.
No.
This is your pet that you have loved. We want you to try and keep your pet. So we're going to try and do what we can to help you keep your pet.
Absolutely. We have plenty of animals that don't have someone who loves them. So if someone does love them, we don't want to take them away. TNR is a little wild, as you saw that kitty in the corner. Are wild cats, basically.
Or feral cats, everybody calls them.
Yes. Yeah. So you might have seen them. There's a ton of them in the area. They roam and normally are pretty scared of people. They don't like to be touched, but they procreate. They have kittens and kittens and kittens, and I'm sure you have seen those as well. So the best way to take care of that is to get them fixed and release them back to their previous home. And eventually you'll be able to get them all fixed and you won't have any more. Sorry, there was a big loud truck. Eventually you'll have a stable colony and you won't have to worry about them continuing to procreate. We do a ear tip so you can tell which ones have been fixed, and we do not take them into shelter if we can't. They will try to eat our faces.
Yeah. Basically, bringing a wild animal into our shelter endangers us, endangers them, and endangers all of our other animals at the shelter. So we try not to do it if we can. Okay. Our program to also work with the mamas out there having puppies, Prevent Another Litter, or PAL, or we also call it Spay Mama. So basically, if you have a female dog at your home that has had puppies, we ask that you bring in the mama and the puppies. We'll take the puppies, get them all ready to go when mama is done with them. We of course want mama to keep the puppies and take care of them until they're ready. We bring the puppies in, we get them all intake and ready to go and be in our shelter and ready for adoption. And then we take care of mama, we bring her in, we get her spayed, and she goes back home to you to live a nice, happy life.
Yeah, that way if in in a year or so she doesn't have another litter, and we're right back where we started as far as overpopulation. So that way we can help get those puppies new homes and not add to the numbers again. We see ourselves as a hub of animal education and information about pets, whether um, that be your pets or the general state of pets.
Right. People have lots of questions about pets, pet care, the health of pets, how to care for animals in our community. And, we like to use public events and social media to outreach to people, to teach people. I mean, we're always learning too. There's always all kinds of things out there that we can learn about behavior and different things because animals are like people. We all have different personalities and different behaviors. And so, we're always researching and learning and using all our tools available. And then we also like to share that with everyone out there to kind of just educate people on, animal care, welfare, and, just really keeping a happy community.
If you have a question, we will do our best to answer it. And if we don't know the answer, we'll either point you in the right direction or try and find it.
Okay, the spay and neuter grant. So this is something that our office really worked hard on to work with the community foundation, and basically we are able to offer reduced costs to our community, to Lincoln County residents, and they're able to come in, they fill out a form, and we give them a voucher, and it is $30 towards a cat spay and neuter and $40 towards a dog spay and neuter. You can use your own vet, or you can use a spay and neuter clinic, which is a little bit more cost effective. Renee, there's some benefits on that.
If you go to a spay or neuter clinic, generally they are really used to doing spay or neuter, and spaying and neutering can help with reduction of cancer, help with reducing lost pets because they aren't running off. It helps hugely. We are big fans of getting your pets fixed because it reduces the overpopulation. A lot of times people will have a litter and they'll think that they can get a few of them adopted, but they end up with several more left over, and then we've got a ton more. They keep having babies. So if we can help at all, it's a huge opportunity to be able to reduce the fee.
Yes.
We have a vaccines grant as well, thanks to Petco Love. This is brand new. It is something that we have just started doing, where we can help get citizens of Lincoln County's pets vaccinated for like their core vaccines. We can't do rabies, but we can get their core vaccines for cats and dogs for either free or very reduced rates.
Yes, so watch for more information.
Sorry. All right, our budget. So our income. First things first, all of these graphs are based on what we estimated we would spend in 2022. They aren't necessarily exactly accurate. So like we didn't get as much money from each of these as we thought, or we got a little more, a little less, but we've just finished up the business year. So you can see we get some from the city and the county. That makes up a little less than half of our budget, and then the rest comes from memorials, grants, donations. Donations are huge, along with adoptions.
Yes. So our operating budget, this is what we spend our money on. A lot of people want to know, where does your money go? Well, here's where we can show you everything where it goes. You can see from all the way up in the beginning, or all the way up at the top is our payroll. That is our most expensive. We're looking at right around $176,000, but that is divided by 12 employees. So if you break that down, you can kind of do the numbers there. But it goes down into medical, into supplies, into utilities, repairs, and on down all the way into like some of our costs, which are insurances and licenses. Sorry. But if you've kind of looked out through the years, especially just these last couple of years, our costs have doubled and even tripled on some things. So our increase has been quite a bit in our medical and our supplies.
Yeah, it's been difficult to keep it going, but we think that it's absolutely important and worth it for us to, if we spend more money on animal care, it might go up, but our budget might go up, but our euthanasia rates keep shrinking. Dun dun dun.
Current state of
Our
the shelter.
current shelter is quite a sight.
Okay. So we don't know if you've been able to come by the shelter, but if not, here's some pictures that we just wanted to show you about what's going on in our building.
We've got, that's actually generally right over my head on the left is our ceiling. On the right, you see where one of our puppy kennels caught fire, and luckily our staff member was there to catch it before we had a crispy pup, but it was quite invigorating and terrifying. You can see we have repairs that we try really hard to make. We have a ton of rats that we fight on the regular. We have
it's just kind of a mess to kind of keep everything going.
This is just a general map of the shelter to show the size of it. It's really not very large at all. That bathroom you can just barely turn around in. Our 14 pack is where we hold several of our dogs. We're going to kind of go through these just to get an idea of what our shelter looks like. This holds, for some reason, 12 kennels instead of 14.
I don't know what that is.
And
because we can put a couple of dogs and a couple of larger ones, so I think 14 technically could be held there.
Like the top right one, he's in a big kennel. You see how huge that is. It's big enough.
2 dogs in a big kennel. There we go.
So and they're only one-sided. So like you see the very back of that is the very back of it. It stays solid, and that's the 14 pack. These are our fields.
Our fields flood during rain. So what that does to our population is we have to move the dogs because we don't feel that they need to be living in water and mud like this. So we will then have to move them onto the 14 pack, which means then now we're doubling and tripling dogs in that area until we can safely move them back to the fields.
Yeah. So, and then our 14 pack, since it doesn't have anywhere for them to go while we're cleaning, we had to create these kennels to hold the dogs while we're cleaning.
Yes.
And they're just supposed to be in there for maybe an hour while we're cleaning everything up. But
now that we've been so overpopulated, we have to turn some of them into permanent housing. So if you look in the left picture, you can see dog houses in the back. That's because dogs are actually having to stay there overnight because we don't have anywhere else to put them.
So we have food, water, and a small dog house, and they just have that. And it pains us really to have to do that, but it's the only option that we have to keep them. What we would love to have is a 2-sided 14 pack where we had a place for the dogs to go while we're cleaning them on the opposite side where they could let themselves out. They'd be happier, but it's really hard to look at improvements when we're not keeping our head above water.
Okay, so our puppy area, we call it the 7-pack and the 2-pack. Basically, the reason why we have to keep our puppies separate is obviously for age, vaccines, health, and all kinds of reasons. But our puppy area, we put them in the 2-pack, keep them until they get their shots, and then we put them on the 7-pack. But they're just not sufficient enough. We've had, of course, the electric fire we talked about earlier. Our floors are concrete floors, unsealed, so when they get wet, they stay wet. When they get dirty, they stay dirty. We got to really work to clean them. And when they're cold, they are cold.
We're trying really hard to get them resealed. We've gotten a wonderful grant to do it, but part of that is getting the 7-pack emptied for a full day so that we can reseal it.
And to get the supplies, and we're also working with that issue.
Yeah. So that requires us actually not having to be over flooded with puppies, and we just always are. And as well as that, they're also open to the elements. We kind of didn't hit on that with others, but everybody here is out in the heat or in the cold. The biggest thing they have is a warmer, which again is kind of scary with the electrical, or a tarp. We have
Tarps are
tarps
our walls.
to cut the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when it's hot, we take the tarps down so they have the wind. This is the only place that is not like that. That is the Mile. And as you can see, it is super, super skinny.
And super, super old and falling apart.
Yes, and crazy loud.
Very loud. It's just not anywhere comfortable for the animals to be, but it's our only indoor kennels that we can use for those that are recovering from surgery, or they're sick, or they're really old, or they might have a broken leg, or some reason that they would need to be inside.
This is our cushy kennel.
Yeah.
This
is our glamorous life.
The one for our really sick or in need animals. This is the best that we've got. And this is for our cats. This again is for our sick cats. Instead of we've got other kennels for our cats as well, and we've got some rooms for our cats to play in as much as we can. We've actually fashioned a new one recently out of a closet, but they're really small and really loud. We do our best to add if you look to the left there, you can see a bed that they can jump up onto, so it doubles the spacing, and we also put mats in there to make it quieter. But what we'd really like is if we could put a portal between the two, so it would be double the size. And we could always use that, but again, it would be very expensive.
Issues.
Yeah. So a little bit about us. We are a nonprofit. A lot of people think that we are government owned and run, but actually we as you saw in our budget, we get a lot of our money from donations and from adoptions. We are a separate entity. We do work for the government, but we are not owned by them. We are independent.
Right.
We have a building built in the 1950s.
So do the math. It tells you how old the building is. And there's never been any improvements.
Yeah, no, not really.
No. We have 12 employees running and taking care of all of those animals every day. Mm-hmm. We do currently have animal control.
Animal control is a big responsibility. It takes a lot of manpower and hours, and it takes up a lot of our resources, because we are covering an area of 571 miles, population of over 30,000. And so our budget, as you can see, this is 2021. So the previous graphs were from an estimated 2022 budget. So that's why they're a little different. So the 2021 budget was lower at 323,000. And our intake was almost 500 dogs and almost 400 cats. We're going to compare a few of our wonderful surrounding shelters. First is Animal Harbor. So they are a nonprofit as well, just like us, but they do not have a contract with the government or anything, so they don't do animal control. They cover the Franklin County, but they also work with the Franklin County Animal Control, who does work with them a lot. We don't have anybody else except for, I think, Lucky's Cat House does some cats here. They have a similar budget, and their total intakes were about 100 dogs and 100 cats. And they have a wonderful facility that was built in 2013 for about $500,000. Tullahoma Animal Shelter also has those wonderful indoor-outdoor kennels like we want. And they had a building built in 2019 for about $500,000. And they do animal control. They are government-owned. They are government-run. They do not do cats. And their budget is lower. It's about $260,000. And their annual intake estimated, I couldn't find an exact number, but I believe is around 500 to 700 per year on dogs. They don't do cats. The Coffee County Humane Society is a all volunteer run nonprofit. They don't do any animal control. They work with the citizens. They're all foster based because they don't have a building. Their budget was $67,000. They saved 100 to 200 animals last year. And Lucky's Cat House, we're kind of in love with them. They are a nonprofit. They are currently building their building. We're very excited for them. They don't do animal control. They don't have any employees that I'm aware of. I think that they're completely volunteers and fosters. It's amazing. They
don't take in dogs. They are literally just
cat
house.
Cats. Yeah. And they saved almost 800 cats last year.
That's incredible.
With a budget of $175,000. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
So, myths and misinformation.
Okay. The Humane Society is totally funded by the city and the county.
Nope. Okay, so as you see there, again, the 2022 graphs, everything that says 2022 is based on an estimate of what we were hoping from that budget. So it's a little higher than we actually got. We didn't get as much as we were hoping. So you can see it bulked up.
There's a lot of blue.
Yeah, there's a lot of blue. All of the blue is funds that we've raised separately
That we have
from
to raise.
government. Yes, to fund
our budget.
our entire facility.
I can't see how you spend your funds.
What if we're out there on our private jets?
Yeah.
Nope. Okay, so here is that same graph we had earlier, showing some of the ways that we go from most to least. On the right, we kind of show a comparison of some of our largest
see our vet
expenses.
fees are basically our biggest taker.
Yeah.
Not maker, taker.
Yeah. And Giving Matter is a really cool website. It has all of our proposed budgets. Again, you have to take it with a grain of salt because it's what we are hoping. If we don't get that money, or if we don't get those donations, or if we spend a little more, it can vary, but it's what our board creates and goes by as our hope for that following year.
You guys get big donations from companies, so people's donations aren't really important.
No. So that graph we showed earlier. So if you really look, those memorials, those adoptions, those donations, those are all from our community. That is, if not exactly, then a little over half of what funds us is individuals choosing to support us. And we are super grateful. And we want you to know, absolutely. And we want you to know that is the lifeblood of the shelter.
Volunteers do most of the work there, so you really don't need any staff.
Nuh-uh. Oh, sorry guys. So we're super, super grateful for our volunteers. They mean the world to us, but there just aren't that many. And also the ones that are there don't do the same jobs as our staff. Our staff, we really want to use our resources as sparingly as possible. And one of the ways we do that is by none of us getting benefits or pay like you might get at maybe McDonald's. So even though we're doing a really, really kind of gross sometimes and sometimes really emotional job, we don't always get paid in money we don't get handsomely compensated so much as compensated in fulfillment.
And our job is every day.
Every single day. A lot of times, volunteers we don't have volunteers that are there daily. We would love to, but unfortunately there just isn't really something that we can get from. We also have staff members that are refusing pay at the moment, like our chaos coordinator.
We're just trying to keep that budget in control.
Yep. And volunteering time.
They just kill all the dogs there.
So a lot of people say that because they are concerned about the dogs, and we appreciate the concern, but we promise we bust our butts to avoid that at every turn.
We are trying to keep that euthanization rate low.
If we euthanize an animal, it's something that you would have decided for your own animal was right, whether they're sick or something. It's sometimes very, very slim times that it is necessary, but when it's not necessary, we don't ever want to do it to an animal who we can try and save.
It's a very big decision that we make at the shelter.
Yes, and we try to avoid it at every turn. You can see on the right some different ways the animals come in and go out of the shelter. On the left, our euthanasia rate from 2017 to 2022. And then we can go even further back, all the way to 2008, where we did take in and euthanize after the stray hold. And we would take in 4,000 animals and euthanize 2,000 of them. And
so that's a very high rate.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, so we've really worked. Our board has really worked to change our goals here, and our staff, our current staff, have all started from about 2019, 2020. So you can see our current efforts there.
And our mission. Our mission is to operate with thoughtful compassion, promote lifetime placement for unwanted and abandoned pets, to help reduce the overpopulation of cats and dogs, educate the local community on responsible pet ownership, seek justice for animal cruelty offenders, and ensure the proper care and humane treatment of all animals.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.